Welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast with Noelle Kustas, where we ignite the spark to discover your favorite self. It is time to get real, ladies. Hello, and welcome back to the Rise to Shine podcast. I'm your host, Noelle Kustas, and this episode is going to be fun. It's going to feel a bit nostalgic, and even though there has been a lot of talk around it, I had to shed some mama light on it, and I felt like I needed to talk about it because at the time of recording this episode, I genuinely feel like I have been living in a bit of a fever dream over the last week or so. So I'm recording this on a Monday after weekend 2 of Coachella. And I want to say this before we go any further, even if you've never been to Coachella, you have no idea what I'm talking about yet, even if you are not a Justin Bieber fan, I want you to hang with me through this episode because this is about so much more than music. This is going to be about growth, identity, healing, and what it looks like to come back to yourself. And I really believe there is something in this for all of us. So let me set the stage for those of you who may not fully understand what this is. Coachella is one of the biggest music festivals in the world, definitely in the United States. It happens right here in the desert that I live in. A lot of people refer to us as the Palm Springs area, but technically, you guys, Coachella is actually a city in the Palm Springs area. We actually call it the Coachella Valley. And I live about a mile and a half away from the actual Coachella event. Okay. I heard today somebody said Coachella is like its own personality, its own identity. But the truth of the matter is, it really is a city within our valley. So, fun fact, too, I actually went to the very first Coachella in 1999, I believe it was. And I remember thinking, yeah, this probably isn't going to last. And here we are, you guys, over 100, I believe the stats are over 125,000 people a day, 2 full weekends, artists from all over the world. It is seriously massive. And so I want to say that this story doesn't start at Coachella because this is going to be a little bit of a story, and it doesn't start at Coachella. It actually starts years ago with my daughter. Okay, so that was the fun fact about me in 1999. Alexa wasn't even born yet. She was born in 2002, and she just turned 24. And when she was little, I can still picture her, you guys. She had these cute little pigtails, and she had a little we used to call it the fountain. It was like a little ponytail on the top of her head. And she loved hanging out in her playroom. And we had this disco ball light that would spin and it would light up the whole room. I crack up because for those of you that watch this on YouTube, you will see that I still have disco balls everywhere. It's part of my identity and my brand, but this one was a little different, super fun. And she would say, "Turn it on, mommy, and play that song again, mommy." And it was Baby from Justin Bieber. And I am telling you, we played this over and over and over again. And she just danced around. It was literally like a full dance party in that room. And to this day, I cannot hear that song without being taken right back to that moment. So now I want you to fast forward to the present day. Now she's, like I said, just turned 24. And I'm going to say this for sure. This year's Coachella felt different. Now, I am going to tell you, I love hosting these music festivals near our home. I know a lot of people complain about it, but most people that live here locally We actually really love it. We love the energy it brings in. I'll get into that a little bit later. But, anyways, we never know what the lineup is going to be for the festival. And I'm going to tell you honestly, going into this one, I wasn't really overly excited about the lineup. I did not know a lot of the newer artists at all. I was definitely having a wow, I'm definitely getting older moment, but I also was super excited for Justin Bieber. I thought, wow, it's been a long time. And I have to tell you, something shifted with Coachella and the energy it brought in this year. It was a feeling that you could feel throughout the valley. Even if you weren't there at the actual festival, throughout the cities that make up this entire desert valley, you could feel the energy. And what made it even more surreal was that we were living it in such a unique way. For us, our kids get to go now. They're older, so they get to experience it. And this year, they were all going. We were hosting their friends. Our niece even flew in from New York with her roommate for the second weekend. So, needless to say, we had a house full of young energy. We had pool days, we had late nights, we had music, we had stories. We were getting all the behind the scene details from them. And even when they were coming home, I don't know. It was just so much fun. We were live streaming, my husband and I, and it just felt like we were really in it without actually being in it. And honestly, we were not sleeping much. Like, we were not in our routine. We were just in this vibrational energy, and we were just really enjoying the moment of being hosts to our kids and their friends. And we could literally hear the music outside. We would hear like the beat and the bass and all that. So that was kind of fun. We would see the lights, planes fly over, and they have signs. So, I mean, there's a lot going on. It's not very often that you get to go to your own grocery store and you get to hear a DJ in the grocery store and in the parking lot. Like, that's for real what happens here. It just completely shifts. Everything shifts here. But here's what was wild. Everywhere you went, people were saying the same thing. I can't wait to see Justin. It was the guys, it was the girls, it was parents, it was teenagers. It did not matter your age. And if you've ever been around Coachella energy, that's not normal because everyone usually has like their own artists. They're here to see different people. They're interested in their own lineup. But this year, it was very different. It felt like a collective. Like 95% of people were there for one moment. People were literally calling it Bieberchella. And I know that's everywhere, like in the headlines and stuff, but that is truly what people were calling it. So we hit weekend one. Okay. Both of my kids are there. My 24-year-old daughter's there, my 17-year-old son, in that crowd of over 100,000 people. And they've been there all day. It's a Saturday. They've already done Friday. Now they're in it Saturday. And he walks out on stage, and immediately you could feel his nervousness. Like, I saw it coming through the screen. You could feel that maybe, I'm just making an assumption here, but it almost felt like he was maybe a little in his head. And I felt like it made sense. He hadn't performed. This is the first time he was performing in years. It was a massive stage, massive audience. But what stood out to me the most was the actual stage. There was nothing. And if you watch Coachella or see any clips, Sabrina Carpenter was the night before as the headliner, and her stage was like a Hollywood movie set. So it was like dancers, costumes, sets, set changes, all of the things. And Justin Bieber's, it was nothing. Like, it was just kind of a little like circular place to walk. There was no massive production, there was no elaborate setup, no dancers, no band, just him. There was a little table with a laptop and like a bar stool. And I remember thinking, huh, this is intentional. This is completely stripped down. This is like that moment of, I'm just going to be me. And then, he started playing. It was like some of his new music, and you're going along with it. And you're like, all right, okay. And then he got to his laptop and he started playing. I'm just going to give you the short version. He started playing old videos and he started singing along to when he was a little kid. And let me tell you, when the song Baby came on, I lost it. Now, I was sitting in my living room by myself. My husband already had gone to bed. It was late. And I just was like, this emotional thing came over me. And I was like laughing and crying and dancing. And it was like, oh my gosh. And I'm like videotaping because all I could see in that moment was my little girl in pigtails saying, play it again, mommy. And now she was like standing in that crowd watching him in real life, in real time. I mean, you guys, it was such an incredible feeling. And what was so powerful was that it wasn't just nostalgia, there was something deeper happening. And it really did feel like this healing because all of these girls, now women, young women, they grew up with him. They saw the rise of, his popularity, but they also saw his struggles. They saw the headlines. They saw his mistakes, all of it. And now they're watching him. And I just have to say, it was like they got to see him and witness him show up again. And of course, you know, everybody has their own opinions, but you guys, I was literally like on my phone and I'm watching Instagram messages coming up. People are videotaping, people are saying things. And all of a sudden, I found myself in the DMs, literally texting with my daughter's girlfriends that were not there, that were watching it. And I was like, oh my gosh, I remember you guys all dancing at like little birthday parties. And I'm reminiscing with parents that I haven't spoken to in a while because our kids have grown and just gone their own ways. But you guys, it was just like such a beautiful hour and a half of time. And so, anyways, it gets over. It was fun. It was just like all the feels. And then, of course, there's opinions. People, the next day saying, and most of it was all beautiful. I felt like a lot of people resonated with what I'm speaking of, but there were people that were saying it was boring, it was lazy, it should have been bigger, because he had this entire stage. And I understood that perspective, but I just didn't feel that way at all because I think expectation got in the way of what was actually happening. So I really believed that like this was intentional. It was very special. When I got the feedback from my kids, they were like, Mom, the audience was honestly so into it. And I'm sure the girls were into it more than the guys were. Totally understandable. I get that. But really and truly, like, it was a very beautiful moment. And all week I was just kind of like immersed in the feedback of what they were saying. And I was even hearing stories from the production teams. We know a lot of people that work out at Coachella, and they were even talking about how he has been so great this year to work with. His family has been amazing. Like, he had gotten rid of, his entire team basically and decided to do this on his terms. So everyone had like very genuine things. And one of the things that, just a fun fact, he does live out here. He lives about 2 miles away from me. And, he is here often and he goes to our local coffee shop that's like right down the street. That's where paparazzi has seen him and watched him have a breakdown, all of the things. So anyways, it's very personal to those of us that are locals and live here. But anyways, so that's weekend one. Now we go into weekend two. It's a new crowd, it's new energy. And this time, my son is there, but my daughter only went on Sunday. So she came home. She lives in the San Diego area. So she came home to hang out with us. And so we were actually watching it from the living room and we were watching it live. And again, the second he stepped on stage, everything shifted. I'm going to tell you like the energy shifted, the presence, his confidence. Oh my gosh, his confidence. And my daughter immediately said, "Oh yeah, the mic is up." That was her quote. Like, and I knew exactly what she meant when she said that. It was like he walked out and he said, without saying it, "I've got this. I know what last week looked like, but now you're going to see me." And oh my goodness, even me just talking about it right now, you could feel it. He literally owned the stage. He owned the stage. And then he's doing all of his music, doing the same that he did last time, but just a bigger confidence, a bigger energy. It's funny because weekend one, I saw this massive stage and just kind of like him kind of being smaller. And then this time it was like same massive stage, all stripped down, but his presence just seemed massive. And you guys, he ended up going, I'm sure you've seen all the pictures. He went into the audience. He let people touch him. He let people take photos, sing with him. And it was like this full circle connection, not above them, but actually like with them. He was completely with them. And I'm sitting there like at home and I'm not only watching him, but I'm watching my daughter watching him. And you guys, her friend was here and they were smiling from ear to ear. They were squealing. I felt like they had gone back to being like these 5-year-old little girls. They even cried, you guys. Yes, they did. My daughter's not going to love that I admit that, but they did. They cried and they were dancing. And I'm just thinking, this is the same little girl. And now she's here. It was just so cool. And then the moment he brings out Billie Eilish, and if you know, she was one of his biggest fans growing up. Now, and I'm going to say what was really crazy is my daughter is also a massive fan of hers. We actually went to see Billie Eilish before people even knew who Billie Eilish was, like in this little tiny concert space. I mean, you guys, when I say tiny, we were like face to face with her and her brother. Crazy. But this was before anything came out with her. Anyway, so go back. She is Billie Eilish is one of his biggest fans when she was a little girl. There are interviews of her talking about how much she adored him. I mean, it was even so cute. I think she said something to the effect of, "I don't know how I'm going to even like a boyfriend because he's not going to be Justin Bieber," or something like that. And it's just very cute and endearing and so innocent. But she was in the audience with Justin Bieber's wife, and everyone thought his wife Haley would go up when he started singing the song, and One Less Lonely Girl was the song. But instead, his wife, pushed Billy forward. And I gotta tell you, it wasn't even about the song. It was about what it represented. It was like every little girl's dream being acknowledged, being honored, being seen. And I believe everyone, every single person watching felt that because even me, like we all have, maybe it's a singer or it's someone you just admire deeply. We all got to kind of vicariously live it through her. But at the same time, we were rooting for him too. It wasn't just about Billy, it was like rooting for him. And something that made that moment even more meaningful was hearing that Billy's mom actually thanked Justin and Haley for that moment. And that just also hit me on such a deep level because here you have a mom who watched her daughter grow up loving this artist, who witnessed her journey, her dreams, her becoming. And in that moment, again, it all just comes full circle. Like we're all human. We all have that full circle moment. And even though Billie is a star in her own right, that moment still meant something to her. That validation, just being acknowledged, being seen by someone who was once such a big part of her story. And that's what I felt like we could all relate to because in some way we all long for those full circle moments. So it was just, oh, it was so beautiful. Like, and I think because I was so close to it, because I did experience, raising a daughter who went through the whole Bieber craze growing up. But here's the thing, it didn't stop there. Like, Billy wasn't there to sing with him and be a special artist, but there were other artists that came up that were amazing. And you could tell they just had such respect for him. But there was one artist that came out, and just after he performed, he literally took a moment to pause and speak to Justin directly. And he just had such admiration. Again, just an immense amount of respect, who he is as a person. And you could just feel how genuine it was. It wasn't surface level. It wasn't like when somebody is getting an award or something. It was earned. It was absolutely beautiful. And then doesn't stop because then he sings, and I don't remember, this might have come before this guest speech, or it could have been after, I don't remember exactly, but he sang the song Hallelujah. And this hit me even deeper because when he sings that, he's like in such gratitude and he's thanking all of the people in his life. He's thanking all of the things that have happened to him, good or bad. And he sings about something as simple as saying hallelujah to getting up and brushing his teeth in the morning. And you guys, I'm telling you, this is not a throwaway line. This is not. It is so real for people who struggle with depression. Getting up and taking care of yourself, that is everything. And trust me in this because I've seen that firsthand. So when he sings that, that's gratitude at a level most people don't ever really talk about. And I just, again, this is just why I thought his performance was so special on so many levels because he got to truly just, you know, um, live out his life and all of the things that he's been through and just being vulnerable. And I think that's why I have kind of felt like I've been in this fever dream because it wasn't just a concert. It really was all of this energy and it was memories, it was growth, it was healing, and it was, and I know this sounds like maybe so, oh my gosh, Noelle, but it is my truth. I feel like it was humanity all happening at once. Like it was all happening at once. And there are just so many lessons in this. Personally, and even in business, there are lessons, but mostly for me, it was personally. I could look at all the business parts of it and go, oh my gosh, we need to talk about this in the collective when it comes to business strategy. But personally, here's where I sat with it. You're allowed to evolve. You don't have to come back perfect. I also felt like it was a message of simplicity can be more powerful than all of the production. You can go about it either way. And sometimes I feel like the most meaningful moments aren't the loudest ones, right? So at the end of the day, this wasn't just about the music, it was about watching someone come back to themselves. And I also think it was reminding all of us that we can do it too. So I just want you to sit with that for a second. If you haven't seen any of the clips, if you're like, whatever, I just encourage you to go back and watch the clips or just even watch the second performance. Because maybe this isn't about a stage or a festival or an artist. maybe this is actually about you. Maybe it's about the parts of you that have grown. Maybe there are versions of you that you've had to let go of, the things that maybe you've walked through that nobody fully saw, because I guarantee you we got to see a lot, but you guys know we haven't seen half. We haven't even seen a quarter of what he's actually gone through. And here's the thing, there's always a quiet strength it takes to continue to show up. And he showed up. So maybe it's about the moments in your life that didn't look the way you thought they would, but shaped you into who you are today. I just keep thinking about that because maybe it's about the part of you that's still becoming, still healing from something, still figuring it out, still learning how to come back to yourself in a way that feels real and honest. You know how I always love to turn these into lessons, but I really felt this. I was like, I gotta record. I mean, I even said it like as I was watching it, I was like, I'm gonna be recording an episode on this because it's just too important and it's so big. So if something in this episode stirred something in you, if it maybe brought up a memory or a feeling or even just a moment of reflection, don't brush past that because all of that does matter. I don't know. Maybe it's just a reminder that you don't have to have it all figured out to step into your next version. Maybe you, I don't know, maybe growth doesn't have to be perfect to mean something. And that your story, wherever you are in it, it's actually still unfolding. So I don't know. Maybe it resonates with you. Maybe you're thinking of somebody else. Maybe you're like, oh my gosh, somebody else was just talking to me about this. Or, oh my gosh, this reminds me so much of my daughter. So if it made you think of someone, maybe another mom, a friend, someone who's been in it with you, or someone who just needs a reminder that they're not alone, share this episode with them. Have some fun with it. See if they resonate with it. Maybe you're part of the moms that are all talking about it because believe me, in my corner of the world, lots of us moms are talking about it because I don't know. I just feel like sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is to let someone else know about it or talk about it because they might be feeling like, okay, I don't know why I was feeling that way, but then this could make sense to them. So it just is like, hey, I see you. You're not the only one. And I just think it's also so like it just gives so much hope because there are still beautiful things ahead for all of us. And I love that. So, thank you for being here. Thanks for sharing my little journey, my little fever dream of Coachella weekend. I never in my wildest dreams would ever think that I'd be talking about Coachella Festival, music festival, but here we are. So thanks for hanging out. Let me know if this was a Biebercella for you as well, or if it was just like no big deal. It doesn't matter. I love to hear from you. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And until next time, you know the deal. Keep rising, keep shining, and know your best day is right here waiting for you. All right, you guys, see you next week. Thanks for joining me here today. Your presence means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider leaving a rating and review, and don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Head to the show notes and let's connect. Rise to Shine Co. is ready to support you in coaching, collaboration, life tips, or even a coffee chat. Until next time, keep shining, my friends.